Hi, I'm Mark Rutan. Welcome to Nomad Boat Building. Two things that are common to every workshop: machines and broken machines. I don't know anybody that has a workshop that doesn't also wish that they had a machine shop at their disposal to fix those broken machines. Now, the reality is most of us don't have access to a machine shop, but that doesn't mean we can't do a little bit of metalworking anyway. Now, it just so happens the blade guides on my bandsaw are broken, and I can't purchase new ones. So let's take a look at a simple little fabrication job using brass and silver solder. Alright, well here's today's project. This is the blade guide for my bandsaw. I've got a general bandsaw, and this guy crapped out on me a few years back, and I did sort of I left it broken for probably a year before I finally decided to try and fix it. I did an epoxy fix on it, which worked for a while, and then it broke again, and I thought this time I should try and fix it better. So I attempted to braze this stuff. I mean, this is pot metal, but the metal started melting before my brazing rod did, so I had to abandon that. And then I tried using an aluminum, basically an aluminum soldering rod, and that didn't work either. And next thing you know, the pot metal started melting on me, so I had to abandon it. So we're going to make a new one right from scratch. So I went down to my local metal supplier, and I managed to get my hands on some brass hexagonal bar stock to fix that, and then a few pieces of other flat bar. I'm going to try building this as opposed to making a big brass chunk and trying to bore it out, because making these nice square holes I think is going to be a bit of a pain in brass. I don't own a broach, and I don't really feel like making a broach to do that. So I think I can build it up out of smaller pieces. So that's what we're going to do. I think I'll just start by making the stem here. We'll try and cut a piece of this off. I guess I'll try and put this slot into it first. I might even, that's a pretty simple thing. I might just take the hacksaw, do a couple passes, and then file it out. I just put the square onto the cut end, and it's beautifully straight and square, so we're going to work with that. I'll just go with a hacksaw to cut that off, because I really don't have any other means of doing it. I'll use a square here to try and give myself a square line to follow. I think I'm going to drill and tap this in order to do part of the assembly. I'll solder it as well, but it seems like the smartest thing to do is to drill and tap it first. So I think I'm just going to start with marking my my face here for a center. So I'm going to use this method where I'm just sort of eyeball approximate middle and draw from each face. looks pretty good. You could see the silver running into the joint. I could have probably used more silver, but I'm not too worried because I'm going to be putting a whole other plate on either side of it, so there's going to be a whole bunch holding that together. It's this main joint right here that I was mostly concerned about. I think I got plenty of solder there. So we're just going to leave that alone to cool. And it looks like I've got a bit of deformation from the heat, but that's okay. It doesn't matter for what I'm doing. I might try and straighten it out a little bit, but maybe not. So I'll just leave that alone, let it cool, and then move on to the rest of it. Working with silver solder is a little bit different than working with tin or lead solder, but not much. Mostly it just has a higher melting temperature. The beauty of silver solder is that it's really strong. You can join dissimilar metals, and you can also get it in different melting temperatures. That's going to allow you to do multi-stage assemblies. Okay, well here's hoping I didn't solder my clamps onto here. Oh, good. A little worried about that. So that looks pretty good. Definitely, this thing definitely changed shape. I had to put so much heat to it. And we'll see if we can't just straighten that out a little bit before moving on. But even if I don't straighten it out, it'll be fine. So I'm just going to do a little bit of cleanup. I'll start by washing this and just getting some of this flux off. Now I was away for a good solid hour, so whatever annealing happened, I might have lost it. Which is unfortunate, but it looks like it's coming in back into shape here. That's not too bad. A little bit more. Okay, that's close enough that I think the best solution is for me to just take it down with a file. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to just start by cleaning up this surface here. Okay, so next I need to build my box for my blade guides here. So talking about that, and I think what we'll do is we'll put a spacer in here that I'll tap. That'll be for my set screw. I just hope it's thick enough. I wonder. And then I can lay that over top. I'm a little tempted to add maybe another piece of material on here, or maybe I should just go with, actually this probably wouldn't be a stupid idea, to just cut some more 1/4 inch thick stock for the top. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I wish I'd just bought some 1/4 inch by 1/2 inch bar stock, but I didn't. That was pretty stupid of me. Okay, well, more of the same, I guess. And it only needs to be about that long. Just drop that on there. Describe it like that. All right. There we go. That is just about perfect right there. All right. We'll clean that up on the sandpaper, and that's ready to go. Okay, I wanted to use 3/16 bar stock, but I have some of this 1/8 on hand that's just the right width. So basically you need 2 of these guys, like that. think I got a broken, I do have a broken tooth in there. That's what's screwing me up. I think I might just put this together like so. I think I might just drop some alignment pins through here using some 1/16 inch rod. And the main reason for that is that way when I'm soldering I don't have to worry about this floating around in the solder, which can happen very easily. And with a little luck it'll just drop right down into place. I'm almost tempted to sweat some solder onto these guys ahead of time. And then I just got to heat the whole thing through. That wouldn't be a terrible idea. And if I do that, I should probably sweat the solder on first and then drill for my pins. Yeah. Okay, let's give that a try. I guess I should use a soft solder if I have any. I used hard for this, or maybe I got a medium or an easy. Okay, well I got a little bit of easy solder plate, a little bit of easy solder rod. Might be a lot more solder than I need actually. And a couple pieces for the bottom here. Just gotta make sure everything's good and clean. Some more skinny pieces. Okay, let's see how she goes. Yep, there we go. Beautiful. Let's do that again. Look at that solder dance. Woo! Sweet. That looks great. Now we just gotta let that cool for a bit and then we'll go and do a dry assembly and then re-sweat those guys. And when I re-sweat those and there's more material on either side, all this solder should flow into the joint. It'll just draw it right out of the flat area and draw it into the joint by capillary action. At least that's the goal. Alright, I just talked with a jeweler friend of mine. Turned me on to this way of getting rid of my flux glass, which is just using citric acid. So just going to use some lemon juice there. This is our pickle pot. Apply some heat. I'm going to drop all of our parts in there and just burn away all that flux. Now it's hard to say exactly how long this will take. It could take 5 minutes, it could take an hour. We'll just fire it up and see what happens. It's only been a couple minutes. We're up to a boil. And just leave it on low. We're just gonna leave that to go for, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes and we'll check again. So far so good. It's looking great. Still a little more to come off there. Alright. That's looking pretty good to me. So I'm just gonna clean those up, buff them up, and do a little dry assembly. Alright, that's it for this episode. We got a great start, and next time we're going to finish up this project. So see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when the next video is out. Ciao for now, folks.